All right, Ravens fans, things are starting to heat up in Baltimore. And it's not just because we're getting closer to the heart of the season. The vibe around this team feels completely different right now. The front office pulled the trigger on a move that's got everyone talking, bringing in Draymond Jones. And let me tell you, this guy is already fitting right in. You can feel it from the way his new teammates talk about him, from the way coaches describe his energy. He's got that fire, that edge, the kind of presence that can instantly change the mood of a locker room. He hasn't even been here that long, but he's already talking about how much he loves the team's intensity and the attitude of the guys around him. That tells you everything you need to know. Baltimore isn't just building a roster, they're building a mentality. Now, if you've been watching this Ravens defense, you know they've been bringing the heat all season. They blitz a ton, and that aggression has become their calling card. But the one thing that's been missing is those consistent one-on-one wins, those plays where a guy just beats his blocker clean and changes the drive. That's exactly where Draymond Jones comes in. He's got that rare combination of strength and quickness that makes him dangerous inside and outside. That versatility is gold for a defensive coordinator. You can line him up next to a big-nosed tackle, or you can kick him outside in passing downs and let him eat against slower tackles. Baltimore's defense has always been known for creativity, and now they have another toy to play with. I'll be honest, a lot of fans were a little disappointed the Ravens didn't go bigger at the trade deadline. Everyone loves a blockbuster move, right? You hear the rumors about star defensive linemen maybe being available, and people start dreaming about that massive splash. But here's the thing, Baltimore didn't need a flashy move. They needed a smart one, and this was it. Jones might not be the headline grabber, but he's the type of addition that pays off in December and January when you're grinding out those physical games. You can tell this wasn't just a last-minute decision either. Head coach John Harbaugh mentioned that the deal had been in the works for a while, which tells you this was their guy all along. When a team targets someone that specifically, it's because they know exactly how he fits into the system. And speaking of fit, it sounds like Jones will slide in perfectly. Harbaugh talked about how the scheme he's coming from is basically the same one Baltimore runs, so there's no steep learning curve. That means he can contribute right away, and it looks like he'll be on the field this Sunday. The plan is to get him some real snaps, let him find his rhythm, and start making an impact. Harbaugh even hinted that the Ravens want to unlock some of that versatility that Tennessee hadn't really used this year. That's exciting, because when Jones is free to move around, he's a problem for any offensive line. Add in Carl Lawson, who's also expected to be ready soon, and suddenly this pass rush is looking a whole lot deeper than it did a few weeks ago. But the best part about all of this? The Ravens are finally healthy. And I mean completely healthy. When the injury report dropped this week, it was absolutely spotless. No limited participants, no did not practice, nothing. Every single player was out there, full speed. It might sound small, but that's the kind of thing that can change a team's momentum. A month and a half ago, this roster was bruised and battered. Lamar Jackson was banged up, key defenders were missing, and every week felt like a survival test. Now, they've got a clean bill of health across the board, and that's rare this time of year. Especially in November, when most teams are limping toward the stretch run, Baltimore is finally back at full strength. And that leads us straight to the heartbeat of this team, Lamar Jackson. He's fully back, no limitations, no hobbled steps, none of that. We're seeing the full Lamar experience again, and it's been electric. Every time he steps on the field, you can feel the confidence radiating off him. What's been incredible this season is how much he's grown as a quarterback. Each year, he adds something new to his game. When he first came into the league, everyone knew about the legs, the speed, the agility, the highlight runs. But now, it's the poise that stands out. He's calm in the pocket, patient with his reads, and he's not forcing throws like we saw in some of his early seasons. You bring pressure, and he just steps up, slides, waits for something to develop, and then, boom, drops a perfect pass downfield. He's become such a low-mistake player, and that's a huge part of why this offense still clicks even when other parts are inconsistent. Now, sure, Baltimore's record at 3-5 doesn't jump off the page. That's not where they wanted to be, especially with the firepower they have. But if you've been paying attention, you know the story goes deeper than the numbers. Early in the season, the Ravens dropped back-to-back games where they scored 40 points and still didn't walk away happy. The offense isn't the problem, it's been producing. The challenge has been keeping the defense from collapsing late or giving up those extended drives that flip momentum. That's why bringing in guys like Draymond Jones and getting everyone back healthy is such a big deal. You can't ask Lamar to score 40 every week just to stay alive. That's not sustainable. You need a defense that can hold its own when the offense cools off. Another fascinating thing about Lamar this year is his success against NFC teams. He always seems to go off in those cross-conference matchups. Maybe it's because there's no one quite like him in that conference. There isn't an NFC Lamar Jackson. Nobody combines that kind of speed, power, and vision as a quarterback. You can watch film on him all week. You can think you've got him figured out. But when the game starts and he's flying past you, it hits different. Even defenders admit it. He looks fast on tape, but in person, it's on another level. The only teams that ever seem to slow him down are the ones that see him often, like the Steelers. When you face him twice a year, you start to understand his tendencies. But for most defenses, especially NFC ones, it's a nightmare trying to game plan for a guy who can beat you in so many ways. And speaking of nightmares, let's talk about what it actually takes to sack Lamar Jackson. It's not like playing against an average quarterback where you beat your man and you're done. With Lamar, that's just step one. You get past your lineman, and then you've got to chase him all over the field. By the time you think you've got him, he's already escaped, rolled out, and found a receiver 20 yards downfield. He turns broken plays into daggers. You can try to keep him in the pocket, but that's where he's become the most dangerous. He's not just a scrambler anymore. He's a legitimate pocket passer. So if you spy him too much, you're wasting a defender. If you blitz him recklessly, he'll burn you. There's no simple answer. That's why defensive coordinators stay up late the week they have to face him. Now, what's really going to make things interesting this week is how the Ravens balance their offense. The Vikings' defense under Brian Flores loves to blitz. They bring heat from every angle, but they've also struggled against heavy personnel sets, those three tight end looks, the extra linemen, the power formations. That's where Derrick Henry comes into the picture. Yeah, the big man hasn't found his full rhythm yet in Baltimore, mostly because of the inconsistencies on the offensive line, but this could be the perfect week to unleash him. You get that ground game going, force Minnesota to load the box, and suddenly play action becomes lethal. Mark Andrews over the middle, Zay Flowers on those crossing routes. It's the perfect setup for Lamar to carve up a defense that's too focused on stopping the run. The key for Baltimore's offense is staying out of those long second and third downs. They've been average on third down conversions this year, while the Vikings have been one of the better defenses in that area. That's where early down success becomes everything. If the line can hold up and open some lanes, if Henry can start punishing defenders, it changes the entire rhythm of the game. And when you can mix that power run with Lamar's play-action passing, that's when this offense becomes almost impossible to predict. Andrews has been heating up, Isaiah Likely is starting to get more involved again, and even Charlie Kolar has shown flashes as the third tight end. If those guys start clicking with the run game rolling, good luck stopping that. It feels like Baltimore is right on the edge of putting everything together. The defense is finally getting reinforcements, the offense is healthy, and Lamar is playing like the MVP version of himself again. The energy around this team is shifting. You can see it in the way players talk, in the way practices are being run, in the confidence radiating out of the building. The Ravens know what they're capable of, they just have to execute it consistently. And with Draymond Jones bringing fresh juice to the defense, Carl Lawson adding more punch to the pass rush, and everyone finally back on the field together, this could be the spark that turns the season around. Baltimore's about to find out exactly what kind of team it really is, and honestly, it feels like something big is brewing. So let's flip the field and talk about the other side of the ball, because if we're being real, the matchup between the Ravens' defense and the Vikings' offense might end up deciding everything. Minnesota's season has been strange. Statistically, their offense has looked flat, but a lot of that came during the stretch where they were forced to rely on backups like Carson Wentz. The good news for them is that their starters are finally healthy again. But the bad news? They're about to run into one of the most aggressive and unpredictable defenses in the league. Baltimore's front seven is getting deeper by the week, and now that everyone's back, it's going to be a long afternoon for any offensive line that's not ready for a fight. The Ravens' defense has quietly been evolving. Early in the year, there were too many missed assignments, too many third down conversions allowed, and not enough consistent pressure without sending extra guys. That's where the addition of Draymond Jones and Carl Lawson becomes such a game changer. These are players who can win their individual matchups. That means fewer blitzes, more disguise, and more confusion for opposing quarterbacks. Baltimore's secondary thrives when the pass rush gets home quickly, and now they're starting to get that perfect balance again. You can already see the ripple effect. Linebackers playing faster, safeties crashing down with more confidence, and cornerbacks able to stay in coverage a little longer without worrying that the quarterback will have all day to throw. For Minnesota, the key has always been rhythm. When they can get the ball out quickly and establish a flow with their short passing game, they can move the chains and chew up clock. But the problem is that Baltimore doesn't let you breathe. Defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald loves to shift looks before the snap, showing pressure from one side and bringing it from the other. He'll drop linemen into coverage, blitz corners, and then rush only 3 the next play. That chaos forces quarterbacks to hesitate, and that's usually all it takes. You hesitate against this defense, and someone's coming free off the edge. With veterans like Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen patrolling the middle, any mistake is magnified. If you hold the ball too long, they'll find you. If you try to dump it off early, they'll close the gap before you can blink. One of the biggest tests for this defense will be handling the Vikings' heavy personnel sets. Minnesota has been using more 3 tight end looks lately, trying to bully defenses that rely on speed. But that's exactly where Baltimore's depth can make a difference. Guys like Justin Matabike and Michael Pierce can anchor the line and eat up double teams, while someone like Draymond Jones can shift around to exploit the weaker blockers. The Ravens have always prided themselves on being physical, but now they have the athleticism to match that power. It's no longer just about clogging the line. It's about collapsing the pocket and forcing the quarterback into uncomfortable situations. And with the way the Ravens' secondary has been communicating lately, it feels like the whole unit is clicking at the right time. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The NFL rumor mill is swirling again, and this time it comes with a twist that could shake the Baltimore Ravens locker room to its core. In a statement that has sent shockwaves across social media and fan forums alike, veteran defensive lineman Hopkins of Ultimato reportedly declared, "If he comes to the Ravens, I'll be out." The cryptic message has left analysts and insiders scrambling to decode exactly who he might be and what it could mean for the team's plans this offseason. Hopkins, known for his uncompromising work ethic and locker room presence, has been a cornerstone of Ultimato's defensive front for years. His loyalty to the franchise and his willingness to speak his mind publicly makes this revelation all the more startling. Could this be a hint at a blockbuster trade in the making, or merely a warning shot aimed at the front office? Either way, the timing couldn't be more explosive, as the Ravens are reportedly eyeing multiple high-profile free agents to bolster their roster. Insiders suggest that the comment could involve a former star, a highly sought-after defensive player, or even a controversial quarterback rumored to be on Baltimore's radar. The ambiguity of Hopkins' statement has only fueled speculation, with some fans taking to social media to demand clarity, while others are already bracing for a potential shakeup in the team's defensive strategy. Sources close to the locker room indicate that while Hopkins' tone was serious, discussions behind closed doors may be ongoing, leaving room for negotiation or even a dramatic change of heart. The broader implications for the Ravens could be significant. Losing a veteran leader like Hopkins would not only impact the team's defensive capabilities, but also its morale and locker room chemistry. Yet, the allure of acquiring a marquee player has always been part of the game's high-stakes strategy, and the front office may be willing to navigate this tricky situation to secure a potentially transformative addition. For now, fans, analysts, and rivals alike will be watching closely, waiting for the next twist in what could be one of the most talked-about off-season stories in recent memory. Rumors like these are part of the lifeblood of NFL discourse, and Hopkins' bold declaration guarantees that the Ravens' narrative this year will be anything but predictable. Whether it's a standoff, a negotiation tactic, or the precursor to a major roster upheaval, one thing is certain. The Baltimore Ravens are at the center of a storm that shows no signs of fading anytime soon. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.